Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're doing a deep dive into, well, what's probably the most foundational text out there on how we interact, professionally and personally.
Absolutely. We're looking at the core principles from Dale Carnegie's, that classic guide to human relations.
But this isn't just looking back, right?
No, definitely not. Our mission today is super practical. We want to give you a kind of high-speed shortcut.
Okay.
We're boiling it down to the three fundamental techniques, the ones that will really underpin every successful interaction Carnegie looked at.
So if you mastered these three,
You pretty much hold the blueprint for what he called human engineering. It's about how to effectively work with people.
and the need for this, it's baked right into the original research, isn't it?
It really is.
I think we sometimes forget just how big Carnegie's training became. The book itself, it came out in 1937.
Yeah, almost unexpectedly. It started as a textbook for his adult courses.
Right, courses on
Yeah.
effective speaking and human relations, and then it just exploded.
It blew up because it hit a nerve. It addressed this massive, documented need people had.
A need identified by serious research, too.
Exactly. The Carnegie Foundation for the Advancement of Teaching, they did this big study.
And what did they find?
They looked at highly skilled professionals, engineers, scientists, you name it, and they found only about 15% of their financial success came from their technical know-how.
Wait, hang on. Only 15%? That sounds incredibly low.
It is, isn't it? A huge 85% of success, even in technical fields, comes down to handling people.
Wow.
Your ability to, manage personalities, lead effectively, communicate well.
So knowing how to design the bridge isn't enough.
Not if you can't get the team to actually, pour the concrete together. That's why these three fundamentals are so crucial. They're the starting point.
Okay, let's jump in then. The first fundamental technique. This is the one that sounds like it needs the most self-control.
That's a good way to put it. It's don't criticize, condemn, or complain.
Simple to say, maybe harder to do.
Well, the insight behind it is deeply psychological. Think about it. When you criticize someone, what's the instant reaction? Almost always.
Defensiveness. They shut down or argue back.
Exactly. You wound their pride, their sense of importance, and they immediately jump to justifying themselves.
So the criticism isn't just, unpleasant.
It's actually futile. It achieves nothing constructive in the long run. It might feel good for a second for the person doing it,
Yeah, you get that release.
but it creates lasting resentment in the person receiving it. And Carnegie, he really hammers this point home with some pretty shocking examples.
He does, doesn't he? He looks at the absolute extremes.
Right. People who society sees as, well, the worst. Like Two Gun Crowley, that infamous cop killer back in the 30s.
What was his deal again?
When he was cornered by police, trapped, he actually wrote a note. It said something like, "Under my coat is a weary heart, but a kind one that would do nobody any harm."
Seriously.
Yeah.
A cop killer saying that.
Or think about Al Capone, public enemy number one. He famously claimed he was just, giving people the lighter pleasures, and all he got for it was abuse. He saw himself as a public benefactor.
So the point Carnegie's making is,
If these guys, the most notorious criminals, genuinely believe they're justified, that they're not really to blame, how can you possibly expect an average person, someone basically well-meaning, to accept criticism for some minor thing without instantly rationalizing it?
that's a powerful thought.
99 times out of 100, Carnegie says, people do not criticize themselves for anything, no matter how wrong they may be.
So this reframes the whole thing. It's not about just being nice.
No, it's about strategy. It's recognizing that finding fault is just a terrible tool if you want to actually change someone's behavior. It doesn't work.
And there's the amazing historical example involving Lincoln.
Ah, yes, the Lincoln and General Meade story after Gettysburg. It's unforgettable.
So the Union wins this massive battle, Gettysburg.
It's a huge victory. But then General Meade kind of lets Lee's defeated Confederate army slip away across the Potomac River. They escape.
And Lincoln was not happy.
Not happy is an understatement. He was absolutely furious, livid. He felt Meade had thrown away the chance to end the Civil War right then and there.
Which meant years more of bloodshed. And we know how angry he was because
he wrote this letter to Meade, a really scathing, brutal letter, just tearing him down professionally.
full of blame, judgment, totally justified from Lincoln's perspective at that moment.
Completely. But here's the crucial part, the lesson. Lincoln never sent the letter.
It was found later.
Yeah, tucked away in his private papers after his death. He wrote it, got all that anger out, and then he stopped. He thought about it.
What did you realize?
He realized sending it would feel good for him for about 5 minutes. But what would it actually achieve?
Nothing positive.
Right. It would make Meade feel condemned, hurt, defensive, and deeply resentful towards Lincoln. Meade would probably spend more energy justifying his actions and hating his commander than actually focusing on leading the army effectively.
So Lincoln chose the bigger picture.
He chose restraint. He understood that keeping Meade functional, preserving his pride and usefulness was way more important than venting his own perfectly understandable disappointment. That's the real cost-benefit analysis of criticism you need to do.
Okay, so fundamental one, stop the negative, avoid that criticism trap because it just breeds resentment. But like you said, that only gets you to neutral.
Exactly. Avoiding harm is step one.
So how do we start building positive connections? How do we actually influence people?
That brings us straight to the second fundamental technique. And this one, honestly, might be the most powerful. It's the positive side of the coin. Give honest and sincere appreciation.
Appreciation, not flattery, right? There's a difference.
A critical difference. We're moving from just holding back negativity to actively fueling something positive in people. We're tapping into what philosophers and psychologists consistently call the deepest human drive.
John Dewey called it the desire to be important.
And William James, another giant, refined it to the craving to be appreciated. It's this fundamental hunger we all have.
And it's not just about, getting a pat on the back. This desire is powerful.
It's the engine of civilization, Carnegie argues. It's what drove someone like Sir Christopher Wren to design magnificent cathedrals. It's what pushed Dickens to write timeless novels despite hardship. It's what motivates people to achieve, to create, to contribute that need to feel valued and acknowledged.
Okay, but let's nail down that distinction you mentioned, appreciation versus flattery, because that seems key.
Absolutely crucial. Carnegie is crystal clear on this. Flattery is cheap, it's insincere, it's often manipulative.
It's telling people what you think they want to hear, whether you mean it or not.
Exactly. Like telling someone they're a genius when you secretly think they messed up. People usually see right through it, or at least sense the insincerity.
Whereas appreciation
Is genuine. It comes from the heart. It's specific. You're not just saying good job. You're pointing out what they did well or a specific quality they showed. It's believable because it's rooted in something real.
And this ability, this sincere appreciation, it's valuable. Like literally valuable.
Immensely. Look at the story of Charles Schwab, first president of U.S. Steel, one of the biggest companies in the world at the time.
And he was paid a lot.
Over $1 million a year, back when that was an almost unbelievable amount of money. And why?
Not because he knew the most about making steel, apparently.
He admitted it himself. He said, "I have many men working for me who know more about the manufacture of steel than I do." His massive salary wasn't for technical expertise.
It was for his people skills.
Specifically, his ability to inspire and lead people. And his method. He said, "I am anxious to praise, but loath to find fault. If I like anything, I am hearty in my approbation and lavish in my praise."
Hearty in his approbation and lavish in his praise. That's quite a phrase.
It paints a picture, doesn't it? Now think about the average manager, or even just the average person in daily life. What's the common pattern?
We're quick to point out mistakes, right? If something's wrong, we mention it.
Instantly. But if someone does something well, if things are running smoothly...
We often say nothing. We just expect competence.
Exactly. We take it for granted. Schwab did the exact opposite. He actively looked for reasons to genuinely compliment people, to recognize their efforts and achievements. He understood he was feeding their self-esteem, making them want to do better.
It's kind of sad when you frame it like that. We make sure our pets are fed, our cars have fuel.
But we often systematically starve the people around us, our colleagues, our families, of the appreciation they crave. We neglect their self-esteem.
There's a really moving example of this in action, isn't there? Involving Stevie Wonder.
Yes, the story of young Stevie Morris. He was a student, blind from a young age, and really struggling in school, feeling isolated.
Understandably.
But one teacher in Detroit did something different. Instead of focusing on what he couldn't do, she focused on how his body was compensating.
Oh, so?
There was a mouse lost somewhere in the classroom. The teacher turned to Stevie and asked him to use his amazing hearing, which was naturally highly developed because of his blindness, to help find it.
She framed his hearing as a special skill.
She genuinely appreciated it. She told him nature gave him this remarkable pair of ears to make up for his lack of sight. She acknowledged it as a gift.
That must have had a huge impact.
Stevie Wonder himself later said that was the turning point. It was the first time someone framed his blindness not just as a limitation, but as the source of a unique strength. That moment of sincere appreciation, recognizing his value, fueled his passion for sound and music.
Wow. And led him to become Stevie Wonder.
It changed the trajectory of his life. That's the power of genuine appreciation. Criticism would have just reinforced his feeling of being different, of being less than. Appreciation showed him a path forward.
Okay, so principle 1, don't criticize. Principle 2, give sincere appreciation. What's the third leg of this stool?
The third fundamental is purely strategic, almost tactical, but deeply insightful. It is arouse in the other person an eager want.
Arouse an eager want. What does that mean in practice?
It comes back to using basic common sense, the kind we strangely forget when dealing with people. Carnegie uses that brilliant fishing analogy.
Ah, yes, the strawberries and cream.
Right. When you go fishing, what do you put on the hook?
Worms, grasshoppers,
Yeah.
whatever the fish eat.
Exactly. You don't bait the hook with strawberries and cream just because you happen to love strawberries and cream. That would be ridiculous. You think about what the fish wants.
Makes perfect sense for fish.
Yet, what do we do with people? We constantly talk about what we want. We try to convince our boss, our kids, our customers why our needs, our desires should be important to them.
Like trying to sell the fish on the benefits of strawberries.
Precisely. It's just as ineffective. The secret, Carnegie says, is to flip it entirely. For a moment, stop thinking about what you want. Put that aside.
And focus on.
Focus completely on the other person's perspective. What do they want? What are their needs, their motivations, their problems? Henry Ford nailed this philosophy. He said, if there is any one secret of success, it lies in the ability to get the other person's point of view and see things from that person's angle as well as from your own.
See things from their angle. It
Okay.
sounds simple, but doing it consistently, that's a shift.
It's revolutionary in practice because it demands real empathy. It's not about tricking someone or manipulating them into doing something they don't want to do.
It's about finding the overlap.
Yes. It's about aligning what you need with something they already want or need. You show them how helping you helps them.
Carnegie himself had a great story about this, didn't he? With the hotel ballroom.
A classic example. He was running his popular adult education courses and renting a grand ballroom in a hotel for his lectures, season after season.
Everything going smoothly until...
Until suddenly, the hotel manager hits him with a massive rent increase, something like 300%. Right after all the tickets for the season had been printed and sold. It was a potential disaster for Carnegie.
So what did he do? Did he argue? Complain?
Nope. That would violate Principle 1, right? Criticizing the manager for greed wouldn't work. Instead, he asked for a meeting.
And in the meeting.
He didn't talk about his problem at all. He didn't mention the unfairness or his budget. He started by saying, I understand your job is to make this hotel as profitable as possible. If you're not doing that, you shouldn't have this job.
He started from the manager's perspective.
Completely. Then he laid out the pros and cons for the manager of this huge rent increase. He essentially said, okay, let's look at the advantages versus disadvantages to you.
What were the disadvantages he highlighted?
He pointed out two big ones the manager was creating for himself. First, by pricing Carnegie out, the manager would lose all the guaranteed income from that ballroom space immediately. It would sit empty, earning zero.
Okay, that's a clear financial hit.
Second, he'd lose the incredible free advertising. Having hundreds of educated, cultured, influential people coming into the hotel every week for Carnegie's courses was valuable publicity the manager couldn't easily replace.
So Carnegie framed it purely in terms of the manager's own goals, maximizing profit and maintaining prestige.
Exactly. He never once said, I can't afford this or this isn't fair. He just detailed how the manager's proposed action hurt the manager's own interests.
And the result?
The manager saw the logic. He realized keeping Carnegie, even at a moderately higher rent, was better for the hotel's bottom line and image than sticking to the huge increase. They negotiated a much smaller, manageable increase, maybe 50% instead of 300.
Because Carnegie successfully aroused the manager's eager want to keep that steady income and positive publicity?
That's it. It's the highest form of influence. You get what you want by showing the other person how it helps them get what they want.
And this isn't just for big business deals. It works on a smaller scale too, right? Even with kids.
Absolutely. There's that relatable story of Stan Novak and his little son Tim who refused to go to kindergarten.
The kindergarten rebellion. Many parents know that one.
Threats, bribes, reasoning, nothing worked. Tim just kicked and screamed every morning. Total power struggle.
So Stan and his wife tried Principle 3.
They did. They stopped focusing on why they wanted Tim to go. Education, routine, maybe just getting it out of the house. They shifted entirely to Tim's perspective. What would a kid like Tim find exciting about kindergarten?
Fun stuff, like playing.
Exactly. Finger painting, singing songs, making new friends. So the night before, the parents sat down at the kitchen table and started enthusiastically finger painting themselves, talking about how much fun it was.
While Tim watched.
Yeah, and they'd say things like, oh, too bad Tim can't do this fun stuff with us. You have to go to kindergarten first to learn how. They made kindergarten the gateway to the things he wanted.
They created that eager want.
Precisely, they made him want to go. The next morning, no fight. Tim was downstairs, fully dressed, waiting by the door, impatient because he didn't want to be late for all the fun.
That's amazing. The eagerness achieved what force never could.
And that leads to that powerful quote Carnegie uses. He who can do this has the whole world with him. He who cannot walks a lonely way. Being able to see from the other person's viewpoint and arouse their desire is really the core of influence.
Okay, so let's quickly recap these three fundamentals we've dived into. They really are the bedrock of handling people effectively.
Absolutely. First, we hit the futility of criticism. Remember, don't criticize, condemn, or complain. It just doesn't work long term. It builds resentment.
Second, the absolute necessity of positive reinforcement. Give honest and sincere appreciation. Tap into that deep human craving to feel important and valued.
And third, the strategic key. Arouse in the other person an eager want. Always try to see the situation from their perspective and frame your request in terms of their interests.
Carnegie was big on action, wasn't he? He quoted the philosopher Herbert Spencer.
Right. The great aim of education is not knowledge, but action. Knowing these principles is great, but it's useless unless you actually use them.
So putting this into practice is everything.
It really is. If focusing on what others want, appreciating them sincerely, and avoiding criticism can genuinely transform your influence, your career, your relationships, and we've seen examples from Lincoln to Schwab to everyday parents.
Then the real question for you, the listener, is this.
What specific small daily habit are you going to change starting today? What will you stop doing or start doing to put these three fundamentals into action in your own life?
A challenging question to leave you with. Think about it. Until the next deep dive.